I'm not there yet.
Oh, you're so sweet. I just thought you'd be better.
Oh, stop it.
I am. You know what? I love exercise.
ATV. So many good things.
We should try an ATV. That'd be cool.
I had one though. I sold it. I'm too busy. That's my go-to for everything. Not too busy.
You're very busy.
Go, Jim.
I mean, you were early, really early the last couple times. I was getting used to it.
How you doing?
Okay.
Does he actually run? Never really got one.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Call to order the Chisholm City Council, October 11th meeting. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Yes, Counselor Halverson.
Present.
Counselor McElraha.
Present.
Counselor Thompson.
Here.
Counselor Halva.
Present.
Counselor Lackey.
Here.
Mayor Lehman.
Here. All right, Council, I'd look to adopt the agenda with no changes.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes. Pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Marty, is there any public participation?
No.
Council reports. Marty, we'll start with you tonight.
Good evening. I attended the Parks Trails Recreation meeting last week, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Foden, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I just want to give a big shout out to and congratulate all of the fall homecoming candidates, especially my little Omaria. She made it in there, so that was cool. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
And you put it on. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Job, Travis. Councilor Baki, good evening.
Good evening. I don't really have a report. Homecoming is this week. Coronation is Friday, so please come and if you can. It'll be a fun time, and homecoming football Friday night. So hope to see everybody there.
That's good. Thank you. Councilor McElraha.
Good evening. No report.
Councilor Oliva, good evening.
Good evening. I attended the EDA meeting. I attended the EDA Downtown Building Committee meeting, and I attended the Path Blazers Snowmobile Club open house.
Thank you. And I have no report unless anyone has any questions of me. Moving on, City Ambulance Director Tiffany, good evening. No report. Fire Chief, Assistant Chief,
No report. Just as on the agenda.
Police Chief,
I have nothing on the agenda and no formal report, sir.
have a good night. Building Official, Mandy, good evening. Okay, thank you.
Question?
Yes.
How many STRs do we have downtown and in the residential?
3 in the R1 district
Okay.
and 1 in the R2 district.
3 R1, 1
So we have
R2.
7 available in the R1 district and 4 available in the R2.
How many do we have downtown so far?
Downtown, we probably
Or the
have
business
4
district.
or 5 of their permitted uses
Right.
in the downtown
Okay.
district. So
Okay, thank you.
For everyone at home, I was questioning the short-term rentals. I believe we have 3 in R1 and 1 in R2 right now. So. City Engineer, Jim, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just a quick update, give you an update kind of where we're at least in my hopeful schedule with regards to 5th Street South. The project manager with JPJ resigned and went to work for the U.S. Forest Service in Ely here about a month ago, so it kind of pushes back a little bit, trying to make our revisions to add the sewer and water in the alley there in that easterly block. But I met with John Jamnick here a week or 2 ago. What we're shooting for is to bring the plans and specifications back to the council at your first meeting in November for approval, authorization to bid, with the idea or the hope of bidding the first Wednesday in December and then awarding the contract hopefully at your first meeting in December. So with that, that's all I have. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have other than 2 items that I have on the agenda later.
Any questions for Jim?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Public Works Supervisor Larry, in order.
What's in the agenda there, Mayor?
Thank you. City Parks Trails, Ms. Muska, good evening.
Outside of what's on the agenda, I just wanted to give an update that the Chisholm Youth Center is finally open. Hurrah! That's grades 4 through 12, and we've already had a good turnout on our first 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. It's open. We have staffing for it, and this year the VR equipment is going to be a huge hit. We're just waiting on one final approval for a waiver on that to make sure everybody has parental consent to engage in virtual reality. But I've been trying it to know how to operate it, and it's a lot of fun. So good addition to the youth center. And then I wanted to share that locally in our community we have a woman, Jennifer, who is an author of the only women's hunting and fishing magazine in the United States. And it's a really unique magazine. It's been going now for just over a year. And she highlighted 30 West. Candace from 30 West wrote an article, and Redhead gets a big spotlight in the magazine about getting started with mountain biking. So take a look at that. It's a well done magazine, and I just wanted to share that Redhead is in it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City Library. Katie, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. And just to bounce off Bridget's announcement of the magazine, we do have that available at the library.
Great.
Last week, I attended the Minnesota Library Association conference down in the Twin Cities. There was a lot of good conversation that happened around book challenges, intellectual freedom, and the age of censorship that is currently affecting libraries and library staff. So it was a lot of interesting conversations that were happening. We've been fortunate enough on a local level to not have any book challenges or concerns in this regard, but it is happening on a regional level. So definitely worth having some conversation about. So overall, it was a great conference. I learned a lot. It was also just a good opportunity to network with other library staff within our state. The Chisholm third graders are going to be joining us next Tuesday for their annual field trip to the library. We have some fun activities planned, including a tour, a book reading, a craft, and a friendly competition of Mad Libs. And then I also wanted to provide an update on the library construction grant for the Tuck Point project that was completed last fall. As you may know, we had a little bit of a hiccup with the reimbursement process. There was some conversation that needed to happen between IRRR and the MDE General Counsel around whether the IRRR funding was eligible for a local match. So that process took a little bit of time, but I was officially notified last week that MDE General Counsel determined that IRRR funds are eligible for a local match. Yes, which is huge news. So all good news, we will be receiving the full amount of $110,000 that was originally awarded to the city, in addition to the $100,000 from IRRR to support that Tuck Point project. So
Good job.
good updates there.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Good work. Good news. Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Lindsay. Ryan, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I have no formal report, but I am happy to field questions.
Any questions for your attorney? City Clerk, Treasurer, Ms. Ah, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Nice to see everyone. So if you didn't notice when you walk into the building how wonderful these decorations look, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Christy and Denise. They are responsible for that wonderful environment up front. And we get a lot of compliments from the community, so it's pretty nice. They always do a really good job. I've been working on the lodging tax collection, as if you recall, when the city's the lodging tax administrator now. So I'm just ensuring that everything we collect from SPRs and from local hotel is being recognized and remitted to the organization that we've designated to send those collections to. Working on some budget amendments for the general fund. I'll have those ready to present at our next council meeting. I've been working with Larry on the wages and revenue projections for the enterprise funds. And it's been kind of cool because I've been able to incorporate some ratio analysis that I learned in one of my finance classes. So it's been a lot of fun. I know it sounds like Excel, geek kind of stuff, but I love it. I love it. We also just recently wrapped up our medical insurance renewal and presenting some options to our staff. So it's been quite busy in regard to that, working closely with Christy and Stephanie and putting that all together. So I think everyone is pretty happy with what we put together for the city. That's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City Administrator, Strava.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I just have a quick update, Public Safety Building. They are moving along quickly and nicely with that building. I'm very impressed with the progress that we're at. They are pouring floors and they'll be working on ceilings. They're trying to get airtight, ready for the winter so they can work on the inside. If any members of the council is interested in getting a tour of that, just let me know and we can arrange that. So it's exciting for the community.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question. How often does the EDA meet?
Once a month. They meet the first Wednesday of the month.
Do they publish minutes? I've never really seen them in our packet.
They don't.
Or is that okay? Wonder if they should.
EDA doesn't have to publish.
No, it's not required.
Great, thank you.
Okay, moving along, council, consent agenda, list of bills, communications, which include August 17th, 2023 PUC meeting minutes, September 5th, 2023 Parks and Rec minutes, and the resignation retirement of Scott Oberstar. So I just take a second to thank Scott for his long-term dedication to the community and hard work. Thank you very much. Also included are the minutes of previous city council meetings, September 25th, working session, and September 27th, regular meeting minutes, payroll, and overtime. Unless there's any corrections, I would look for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. No unfinished business. Moving on now. Assistant Fire Chief Worley, good evening. You're gonna take this up for Chief, who's out working some more overtime.
Working some overtime. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. The only thing we have this afternoon is a resolution accepting grant funds for the HMP grant, which actually covered the cost of our annual hazmat training for all of our members.
Fantastic.
$1,680.
Mhm.
So good job. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, April. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bridget, welcome back.
Resolution is asking for permission to apply to the CDBG block grant for $70,000 to surface Memorial Park with poured-in-place rubber. Working on multiple grants to get to the amount that we need for new equipment and surfacing next to the splash pad. And this is available to us, so hopefully application could get us somewhere, so 70,000 to CDBG.
Excellent. Council?
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April, for resolution 1023-69.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Is there any further discussion? Good work, good luck. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The second one is a resolution to enter into agreement with Glacier Park for the ATV trail that we've been going through various landowners to try to get this eastern route around Redhead so that ATVs can go through a lot faster between Chisholm and Hibbing. And this agreement is with Glacier Park.
Brian, I assume you had a chance to read over?
Yep, I did review it, and I did make some comments. Ultimately, at the end of the day, assuming we have the support of Northern Tracks, I don't think that this agreement places the city in any unreasonable risk.
Yeah. Okay, council, I would look for a motion and approval, or second, for resolution 1023-70 to enter into agreement with Glacier Park.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, April.
It's for you or Attorney Lindsay. Is the liability insurance, is that normal?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Please.
the amounts that are required in this contract are a little bit higher than normal. And typically, if the city we're gonna bear those costs or take that on all on our own, the levels of insurance required usually require a rider with our insurance provider, and that there's some cost that's associated with that. The need for those insurance policies is generally with the municipality offset by the recreational trail immunity statute. That helps keep the rates down. And a lot of times, like an ATV club or another group will help reach those coverage limits. So,
You got it?
Yeah, Northern Tracks retains $5 million of insurance.
Okay, perfect.
Wow,
Excellent.
great.
Again, our hobby that brings a lot to the community. So,
Yes.
Motion to approve.
thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, April. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Bridget. Jim, good evening.
Good evening again, Mayor. Got you moving 20 places, so 7. If you'll turn to page 32 in your agenda, please. If I'm giving you too much information, please tell me, but you seem to appreciate going through this in a little bit of detail, so I'll try and make it quick. If you go to page 32 and go to column I, total work completed and stored to date, do not include that first item of $515,700, but take all the items then down to about line 17, down just below $185,970. That's actually the construction materials and labor that have gone into the project for which we redo the retainage. But if you add up those numbers then, deleting that first one and down through line 17, that totals $2,314,107.90. 2314-107.90. Take 5% of that, it amounts to $115,705.39 that you'll see on the next page, 115,705.39. And then if you go to the bottom of that column, another number that you'll see when we go to page 31 is that total work and completed to date as well as material stored on the site. This is at $3,170,276.86. Then if you go back to column G, and you add up all the numbers in column G down through, again, line 17, down through $125,970, including that first line that we didn't use in column I, that total is $686,542.37. 686-542.37. And that calculates the fee that we paid, 1 3/4% to Edelson and Peterson. And so if you take that times that 1.75%, amounts to $12,014.49, which is the number that you see at the bottom of that. So then if you will go back to page 31, cover sheet on this. You see the original contract sum of $11,199,947. There's been no revisions to that contract amount to date. Number 4 there, you see the total work completed to date, which is at $3,170,276.86. Line 5 is that retainage that we just talked about of $115,705.39. So line 6 then gives you that total earned to date, which is number 4 minus number 5, which is $3,054,571.47. Line 7 is what we paid them in the previous 6 pay applications, amounting to that $2,385,191.73. And so the current payment due that we're asking you to approve tonight is $669,379.74, 669,379.74. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jim. If there's not any questions, I would look for motion and support for that pay application number 7.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on. Yeah.
The next item that you see on page 33 is we need a resolution to enter into a cooperative agreement with St. Louis County for street maintenance activities. In this case, it is the crack sealing and the seal coating, scrub sealing, fog sealing proportions. Last year, all of these were included in the same cooperative agreement, and evidently that was supposed to have been sent out to Larry and I back in July. We never saw any of it. So at your last council meeting, you approved the aggregate crushing. This one is for the crack sealing and the scrub sealing. We still have to follow up with them on street maintenance. So there's going to be 3 different resolutions other than one that we received last year. But it is per what we have proposed in the budget of that $50,000 for crack sealing and chip scrub sealing on our city streets. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, but would recommend approval of that resolution entering into the cooperative agreement with St. Louis County for those activities.
Thank you, Jim. If there is any questions or share with a motion and support for resolution 1023-71.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I bring you the hiring process yet again. So as we get started, we believe there'll be some internal moves. And first before you is the request to approve the first refuse truck / heavy equipment operator. It's been 13 years since the job description's been updated, so we did a little work on that. It really it mimics the second operator, which we'll get to in a couple weeks, hopefully, which was updated more recently, approved by council as well. So it was just a few edits, and we added some things like wage and job schedule and stuff like that. You know, this is one job in public works that actually requires some holidays work. So with that, any discussion? I'd look for ask for your approval of the job description for refuse operator number 1.
I have a question for you.
Please.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
You got this proof by asking me, right? I mean,
Yes.
okay, I'm just making sure.
Absolutely.
And then I also wanted to thank Mr. Oberstar for all of his years of service, and best of luck on retirement too. So
Yes, he appreciates that.
yeah,
He's humble, but he appreciates it. When I first got hired, I remember Councilor Rocky specifically, like, we gotta fix the garbage system, So we built the system, which you all know now, and Scott said, well, you just build the system and I'll build the roads. Like, you do your thing, I'll do mine, So he had the routes designed before we had the system, so it's been great, so, yeah.
Excellent. Hi, Council. Look for a motion to approve the job description for the refuse truck operator, number 1.
make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then request your support to post internally for that position. We believe there'll be a couple lateral internal moves before we actually see an opening. So this is the first internal posting, and I hope to do the second one in a couple weeks.
Perfect. Council, look for a motion to post internally.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor Council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Stephanie.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, we do have Bob Streeter via remote that he will present. We have the scattered site info work plan. We have discussed this, I think, numerous times on the approach for our housing approach for our community. Different approaches. We're looking at the Wetton Edition, market rate housing, and then also what we're currently trying to work on would be the site info work plan, which would include any vacant lots which are within the community. So, Bob, if you have anything to add to that.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would just want to say that what this requires, the end product is the council will have a map and a list of lots that are 25 feet wide, a list of lots that are 26 to 49 feet wide, and a list of lots that are greater than 50 that are either on the street or on right-of-way and are either front-loaded or rear-loaded. And what that means is they have an alley or they don't. And then you'll have some examples of housing, nice housing, that can fit on those lots, and cost estimates for what it would cost to build those houses. So in the end, you'll have a document where somebody will be able to come to City Hall, look at the lots, whether they're publicly or privately owned or tax forfeit, pick a lot, and then look at up to six different styles of homes that would fit comfortably on those lots, and then hopefully make a decision to purchase the property either from a private owner or from the city and build a house. Now the focus of this scope is on lots that are 25 feet in width, because there are more than a few of those. I've done some initial analysis. And there are lots between 26 and 49 feet in width that could also accommodate a single-story slab-on-grade home with a garage. So the first step is to do an inventory, and I will tell you, I pulled that data from St. Louis County, and there's close to 2,000 lots that are vacant, according to the county, in the city. And that's just not residential, but that also includes commercial and industrial. So vacant, publicly owned, privately owned, and or tax forfeit. So this inventory that is part of this scope, you'll only have to do one time. You will now know in the city of Chisholm where every lot is, every vacant lot, what it's zoned and how it can be used, which should help the council in promoting and facilitating housing development. So, and then the last couple steps in this scope of work are to prepare zoning ordinance amendments to allow construction on 25-foot lots or lots that are less than 50 feet. And I would be working with Mandy on that. So it takes maybe 90 to 120 days to work through the inventory, which is kind of painstakingly slow, but it's done once and it's over. And then I'm going to say we start maybe around the 1st of November. You will have a mid-work plan check-in about 2 months in to get some feedback from the council and maybe and/or the EDA. And then we'll continue on, and you should have a final product, I'm going to say, probably by the end of February. And then you'll be able to promote, if you want, these kind of building opportunities to folks who want to live and move to Chisholm or within Chisholm. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Bob. All right, Council, obviously this is something that we've been talking about for quite some time. Any further questions for Bob? More stuff? If not, I would look for a motion to enter into an agreement with Streety Consulting.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion?
Do we need to say the total amount?
We'll put the, make sure, amend your motion for $21,452.
For $21,452.
Thank you.
I'll amend my second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item I have on the agenda is the LELS contract. We've been in negotiations with LELS. I want to thank the negotiating team. It was a very pleasant negotiation. We all know how valuable police officers are to our community and what's currently going on in the environment of that industry. So I'm pleased to say that we did come to a tentative agreement, which you have found in your packet. We're looking for approval to that agreement. It's a 3-year labor agreement with LELS, which is your police officers. We did recently hire 2 captains, which you're familiar with. So it would be the police officers and the captains that would be in this contract.
Excellent. Well,
Do you have anything to add?
You did it,
I would like to say thank you to our council and staff and all those involved, helping make this, a pleasant experience and hopefully a righteous one. So definitely need to take care of our LELS.
Yes. I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item I have on the agenda is the CTC contract, and we do have 2 representations from CTC here today. If you want to come up and just introduce yourself. You can speak on it better than I can. I'll go over it real quickly, and then if you want to add anything. So this contract, what it will do is it will bring fiber to the majority of our buildings. It will also provide phone service and Wi-Fi. If you want to just introduce yourself and if there's anything extra to add to that.
Sure, yeah, my name is Lauren Johnson, so I'm with the business team at CTC.
And Ryan Rosenwald, Director of Sales.
And the official would say, thank you for having us. Good morning.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
We're excited for the opportunity. What we kind of put together in conversation with Stephanie and Eileen and through vast site surveys and evaluation would be to bring fiber connectivity to the majority of your city buildings. In a few circumstances, we utilize our partnership with MediaCom as well in some of the locations that are a little bit further outside of the city. And this would also provide us with the opportunity to look at a larger picture to build out more connectivity to the business and residential community of Chisholm. So,
I also want to touch on this also includes the new public safety building.
it does.
Yes.
So we would get fiber to that building ready for operations in the beginning of the summer.
Yes.
Okay. Do you like that? Like, if I nod, will you nod too? Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Any specific questions? I know that our recommendations were shared with you. Any questions around the technology itself or the connectivity or?
Council? I like pen and paper, so technology, you guys can save that. Thank you very much. You know,
So the cemetery is one that they will have to use their partnership with Unicom and the wastewater treatment plant. Those are the only two, I believe. The rest of them will all have fiber. I think that is the only two.
Campground as well, so campground would be using media. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, council, I would look for a motion and support to engage in the agreement with CPC contract.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you talk to me a little bit about the chamber? Because the chamber rents their office. It's not, they don't own it. So have we approached, do we know if Certis is buying if we run fiber to their building?
Yeah, so we, from kind of a construction perspective, how that would work is we would work with whoever the owner of the building is to gain access, basically a legal thumbs up to bring fiber in.
Okay.
And then the services would be billed out monthly, with the thought that if the chamber were to ever move out of that location, there would still be the facility for a new tenant to access it as well.
Okay.
Could the fiber be brought down all the way down Main Street?
It's going to the end where the chamber is for now, and then we're in the background. CTC is working on funding more money, or finding funding to go down all of Lake Street, basically to build more. So that'll be the ideal plan.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Okay, we have motion support. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Oliva.
Yes, good evening again. So I had a request to update our fitness center policy. I'm looking at your packet here. I'd like to add, just for the retirees, that their children, minimum age 18 and max of 26, like the rest of the employees of the city. There's a couple retirees that have kids of the age that weren't able to get in there until they retired, so we're just looking to extend that out to them too as well. And then deleting the wording about the long year, employees of long year incorporated will provide our city with ambulance production and emergency response. Just deleting that because they're not affiliated with us anymore.
Okay, Council. My brief opinion, I think we should knock this down to whoever's qualified to one line. My opinion would be current employees of the city of Chisholm and their spouses, if they're children. We have a local fitness center in town who's paying taxes. They're on Main Street. They're trying to make a go of it, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars on buildings and updating. So if you look in here, Chisholm elected officials and their spouses and their kids are allowed to be in here. City board members and commission members are allowed to be on here. So if you were to ask me, I think that would be too much, and I think that we should restrict the use of that fitness center. But that's just my 2 cents.
Are we putting a fitness center in the new building?
No.
Okay. So it'll just be this one above the current fire department.
Current, right?
And then if that sells, there won't be any.
Okay.
Right?
At this point, unless we find another space for it.
In that instance, too, I believe most of our city employees get a stipend for using fitness centers, so they get a reimbursement through their insurance.
Right.
That would cover everybody except for your paid-on-call EMS, fire individuals. So that's always something that, a stipend could be looked at, going in the future. But
Okay.
either way, this could be a short-term option, but I just, I think we should be encouraging people to, shop downtown.
And we're just looking at a couple people too. It's not like it's a handful either.
So you want it to read just current employees, their spouses, and their children?
So this is Councilor Holland's.
Or
That's just my 2 cents. And unless we bring this to a working session to discuss it or break it down and actually talk about it, or you can do it right here. But I was just sharing my 2 cents.
it could go either way, I guess.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to take long year off. It's an update. as far as the rest of it, might be better for working session.
Fran?
I would agree. I guess I didn't have any strong feelings, but I do feel like it might be a bit of a bigger conversation than we initially thought.
So Brian, how about a question for you? How does this work for a board member that goes up there and drops a weight on their toe?
They would technically be up there as an agent or invitee of the city, and we would have some responsibility up there.
Okay. Council? Added to a working session? Okay. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Do we need a call for a motion support? It's on here as an action item.
Yeah, I mean, we could do.
Can I get a motion to move this to a working session?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Council, we talked about this before. We do need to figure out what we are going to do or what the plan is going to be for our sidewalks on 5th Street. I kind of gave my opinion before as far as what I feel that moving them to, behind the curb would do. I did talk with Mr. Streeter earlier, who does have a good history on this, and especially with planning for future developments. You look at Wenton, in some areas I think a boulevard does fit, on this development. You look at a lot of our streets, our avenues are a lot wider, they can accommodate for boulevards. I think our streets are a lot narrower. I think for cleanup, for just for general parking, I think it'd be a lot better to put them right on the curb, in my opinion. 5th Street, I think, is a prime example where if you go around the school, everywhere around the school, the sidewalks are right on the curb. The most areas in town where the highest vehicle traffic is, curbs seem to be, or the sidewalks seem to be right behind the curb. This is also a thoroughfare going down to the lake walk, where it's in there, so it's something that we can help keep clean. I did speak with a few of the residents over there, and definitely the concern is the windrow or what the snowplow would leave there. So without helping the city, making sure that it was cleaned up, it would be hard to impossible for a lot of the residents to move that snow. But there are different options. I talked with Larry as far as what it would look like for the city involvement and helping keep those clear when they are on the curb like that. And he said that once you get your streets cleaned up, having the equipment go around behind can always be something that we work on to help clean those up. So there's definitely opinions going both ways. So I've talked with a few of the city staff that disagrees, a few of the city staff that does agree. My biggest thing in the wintertime when you're driving an ambulance or a fire truck down the winter street here and everybody parks 2 feet away from the snowbank so the passenger can get out, first thing in my mind is how can we get the snow off that boulevard? Well, if it's a sidewalk there, you're more apt to get over and have it cleaned, and I think it'd just be a little better. My opinion, again.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, the street is getting widened out with the project, and it's nice to talk about coming back later to clean the sidewalk, but if it's already set up, Larry, you know what that's like. If it's already, it doesn't take long for it to solidify, like next day, a couple days. And if it freezes hard, then it's a real chore to try and break that free or try to keep it cleared and maintained all winter long. So in that regard, we are widening the street out. We're going to 30 feet now, Jim. There was 20,
30 foot.
24 to 30,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I think of just pedestrian safety in general and kids on sidewalks. I've watched them, and 3 or 4-year-old kids, where do they go? They're off on the boulevard, or they don't stay on the sidewalk. They crash and they sway and move. So I think I'd be inclined to just kind of keep it as a standard design the way all streets have been. Keep the boulevard there. That's my opinion on that. Because I think it would create a burden if they don't get to the plow right away on the sidewalk. They're going to have a hard time once that starts to set up. then it's gonna be, once it gets hard as a rock, then. And it takes, you come with a front end loader and go at it, but that's a lot more time and effort and work for the crew when they're trying to get all the rest of the streets opened up.
Anyone else have opinions?
I think we got enough problem with people not clearing the sidewalks period in this city, so putting it out there and plow is just gonna delay everything, and same thing, kind of a safety issue.
Well, again, people don't clear their sidewalks anyways. Doesn't really matter where the sidewalks are.
Do you think so how do other cities that have these plowed? I mean, is the responsibility still on the resident, like in Duluth where they have? Is it, I mean, it's the same concept that we have?
Or
Or
just
is,
like Lake Street though. Lake Street's still the responsibility of the the homeowner or the business owner. We do it, we do it a lot, but on the weekends when we're not out, there's little stuff. Those restaurants and those businesses are still responsible.
right.
So
Well, I mean, so would it be a possibility, I mean, I don't know, maybe this would, to raise the wing and hit it first, and then hit the street after you've already, so that it does get, I mean, does that create a whole lot?
there's a lot of scenarios. Oftentimes, it's it's depending on the weather. If it's really cold, if it's warm, if it's how much we get. Do we get 3 inches? Do we get 7? Can Public Works come back the next day and assist, or is it going to be 3 days later? I see oftentimes now that it's not being cleared to the curb. It's way out. There's many different opinions. I'll just tell Mr. Mayor and staff and everyone that all 13 employees in Public Works and Public Utilities support putting the sidewalk at the street for various different reasons. I proposed in the staff meeting that everyone gets an opinion and we just talk through it, and we can give different examples of what works and what doesn't. I mean, you could look at your UPS drivers, your FedEx, Meals on Wheels. They're able to get to the curb and unload. You're able to unload your kids or your groceries on the passenger side of your vehicle on the sidewalk all year long. Those in the room that remember Lake Street when I took over, there was no, gathering of Lake Street and hauling it out. You remember what a disaster it was with snowbanks and,
Well, I guess one of the reasons I would be in favor of it would be because by January 1st, our curb is 2 feet into the road.
or 6.
I mean, that is my biggest pet peeve. And, so, I mean, by doing this, I would hope I would assume that wouldn't be the case anymore on these streets. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I do have a safety concern with it, with kids. But I also think that if we can start plowing to the curb, that's going to help a lot of things.
I am not very mechanically inclined, so I'm really struggling to understand why we can't get to the curb now.
It's called rolling the bank. And you roll it in an open area because there's resistance the whole way. And if you were to shovel your sidewalk in your driveway in the alley entrance, all that snow that's being held up on that plow is now dumping in an unrestricted area, which is what you just shoveled and plowed. So it dumps an enormous amount of snow in one particular spot. If that helps at all.
It did not.
So when you clear your sidewalk and the plow comes down, everything's going to hit the snowbank and sit there.
And
Once it hits your sidewalk, it's got that opening.
Boom.
It's going to all dump into your opening because it has.
So it looks like you did absolutely nothing.
Big wind roll.
Okay, so now with the way that with putting the sidewalk closer to the street, we're dumping the snow on people's yards instead. Then is that
So in an instance where there'd be a couple inches, you could easily snowblow it into the yard. It wouldn't be anything. And a larger snowstorm, Public Works would make one pass and bump it onto the street and then put it in a windrow and haul it out, like we did Lake Street or other streets.
Okay.
And it sometimes could be a week later. But a week later it's gone. It's not there all winter like a normal snowbank.
All right.
It's not an easy discussion by any stretch.
Well, maybe we should add this to the working session.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Thank you.
also apparently have to YouTube some videos on snow removal because I cannot picture this right
Jim, how soon do we have to have this information in? Very soon.
I do want to make a point on that. So if there is a decision to change that, our architecture or our engineering work is already complete at this point in time. So there will be a cost implication to do that, and then it will extend that timeline. So the utilities run in the boulevard, so we would move a sidewalk on top of the utilities. So there would be some, so we would need a working session sooner than later, I guess, is what I'm, long story short.
Okay.
Because we are ready to go at this point.
Okay.
What kind of costs are we looking at?
I thought when I asked you a month or so ago when we first started this conversation that it wasn't too far along. I think I said a number of times because I've been bringing this up for about a year now.
The design is basically done. The only thing they're really working on right now is that added work that back in that alley, had sewer and water rerouting just on the easterly block.
Okay.
The plans are for boulevards in the traditional location.
Yes.
What kind of costs are we looking at incurring on re-engineering?
It's going to depend if you keep the utilities on the boulevard or not. If those get moved, there's a lot of decisions that would have to be made of what that's going to look like.
Because right now the water main is about 2 or 3 feet behind the curb, which is where the sidewalk would be. Do we leave that water main underneath the sidewalk as it's currently designed, or do we move that further back from the curb so that it's between the sidewalk and the property line, 3 foot back off the back edge of the sidewalk?
Freezing.
Those are
It sends the frost down deeper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
underneath the sidewalk, and that's going to be cleared and so forth. So if the water main has to get relocated as well as the sidewalk isn't a big change, quite frankly. And there was some comment made, adjacent to schools and so forth. And you probably know my perceptions or my opinions already. I agree kind of with Bob Streeter in terms of when you're in a residential area where you've got mom pulling the stroller and the other infant is on his bike or something, or with the elderly in terms of their comfort level of walking the street. However, when you get into the commercial areas, the institutional areas, the school, I fully intend there because you do have school buses as well as parents pulling up with their drop-off and pickup areas. I believe that's an appropriate application of the sidewalks being right behind the curb and in some cases extending right back to the front of the buildings. Same is true in churches, something like that where there is parallel parking and it's being used on a regular basis for that purpose. But I'm a traffic engineer, so I look at the safety value and traffic calming when you're looking at a residential area. But that's just my opinion that we can share in a working session as well. Thank you.
It's a good assessment, Jim, I think. Downtowns, institutions, schools, churches, where there's a lot of unloading and loading, that I think it's great. Traditional residential, I don't think it's great.
That's the part that loses me when we talk about safety, though. In the most highest foot traffic areas, they're on the curb. That's where the most traffic is. That's where the most foot traffic is. How is that safe? But no, you go into a residential area where you're going to have less vehicle traffic, less foot traffic. How is it more dangerous to have it on the curb than somewhere that, like next to the school, you have nonstop kids on, walking and coming to and from school?
Your speeds are slower there.
Yeah.
They are now.
Does the school?
That thing school has different.
Does the school maintain that sidewalk?
The school maintains the sidewalk.
When you're in those types of neighborhoods.
Commercial areas, business owners pushed out, legal area pushed out to the curb, and then the city takes it from the curb and gets it out the street and takes it away, and I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Do we want to talk about this at a working session? Okay. So we do have a meeting again tomorrow. Can't add it to that one, correct? Our next session is, we don't want to do it that weekend.
We have one coming up here with,
We have a public hearing on the 23rd. I don't think we want to do it on that one. How's next Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
I would appreciate it Tuesday if possible.
How does Tuesday look for everybody?
do we have a working session coming up with for HRA, or is that a be an independent meeting?
That's a public hearing.
Okay, public, okay.
Yeah, MinDOT.
That's
Too close. Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. It's too close.
What's tomorrow?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, midnight. Where's that?
Oh, midnight tomorrow, yeah.
Thank you.
So you're looking at the 17th?
17th?
That works for me.
4:30 work?
4:30 work?
I might be a little late, but
I'll be there right at the last minute too.
Okay.
4:30, 17th.
April?
Sounds good. It's on the agenda.
Okay, so if I can get a motion, do we have to, can we make a motion support for that right now, or should we just sign after?
We could just, I mean, you could just call it and put it on the agenda.
Okay. So, a working session to discuss 5th Street Southwest sidewalks and our fitness center policy. Anything else? Get motion support.
Might as well.
I think you should. I think we should still talk more about land swap.
That on there.
The line swap on there. All right, Council, if I get a motion support for that.
Are we gonna have updates by then? She had mentioned she might have some updates. Is she?
For public works. So we talked about that. I think we should probably wait a little bit for that.
Okay.
You know, we do have 2 months yet.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday, 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
You get a motion support?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Council, anything else for miscellaneous? I will look for a motion and support to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.